ಕರ್ತಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀನಾರಾಯಣನ ಪಾದ ಭಕ್ತಿ ವಿರಹಿತನೇ ಈನ. ಕರ್ತಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀನಾರಾಯಣನ ಪಾದ ಭಕ್ತಿ ವಿರಹಿತನೇ ಈನ. ಚಿತ್ತಜೋದ್ಭವ ಪರಾತ್ಪರ ತ್ರಿಜಗವೋ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಗಾತ್ಮನ ಅಧೀನ. ಚಿತ್ತಜೋದ್ಭವ ಪರಾತ್ಪರ ತ್ರಿಜಗವೋ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಗಾತ್ಮನ ಅಧೀನ. ಹರಿಧ್ಯಾನವೇ ಗಂಗಾ ಸ್ನಾನ ವಿಷಯಾನುಭವ ಜಯವೇ ಮೌನ. ಹರಿಧ್ಯಾನವೇ ಗಂಗಾ ಸ್ನಾನ ವಿಷಯಾನುಭವ ಜಯವೇ ಮೌನ. ಹರಿಧ್ಯಾನವೇ ಗಂಗಾ ಸ್ನಾನ. ಪ್ರಾಣೇಶನೇ ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತಮ ವೇದ ಪುರಾಣ ಪ್ರಮಾಣವೇ ಜ್ಞಾನ. ಪ್ರಾಣೇಶನೇ ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತಮ ವೇದ ಪುರಾಣ ಪ್ರಮಾಣವೇ ಜ್ಞಾನ. ಹರಿಧ್ಯಾನವೇ ಗಂಗಾ ಸ್ನಾನ ವಿಷಯಾನುಭವ ಜಯವೇ ಮೌನ. ಹರಿಧ್ಯಾನವೇ 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 ಗಂಗಾ ಸ್ನಾನ.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै. Let us chant from verse number 3. Shri Bhagavan-uvaca Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavoddhyatmamuchyate Bhutabhavoddhavakarah Visargah Karma Sannitah adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha purushascha-adhidaivatam dehe deha-bhritam vara antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhya cha mayyarpita mano buddhihi mame vaishyasya samshayam abhyasa yoga yuktena cetasa nānyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanuchintayan kavim puranamanushasitaram anoraniyam samanusmaretyah sarvasya dhātāramachintya rūpam aditya varnam tamasah parastat. Bhagwan makes it very clear that if we have to remember the Lord at the time of death, constant practice is necessary. What are the things to be done? Abhyasa yoga yuktena cetasa na anyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati partha anuchintayan. First of all, gain the right knowledge about what to meditate upon, what is the nature of the reality. Then do constant abhyas with a single pointed mind, with an unwavering mind. Bhagwan, what is it? What is the nature of that Lord which we have to meditate upon? So the 9th verse in essence gives the nature of the Supreme Reality. So yesterday we were discussing this. So what is this reality? This Paramam Purusham Divyam, what is it? It is Aditya Varnam, of the nature of light, like the sun. Now which light are we mentioning here? Not some external light, but the light of consciousness. And what is the unique feature about this light of consciousness? Tamasah parastat. It is this which can illumine even the darkness. The darkness of ignorance also it can illumine. It's this unique light of consciousness which is conscious, which is constantly shining in the hearts of all, in the light of which all our experiences we go through. And this consciousness, what is the glory of this consciousness? Sarvasya dhātāram, which is the support of the whole world. It is the support of everything. It is the very support and substratum of everything. At the same time, it is achintyam, that which cannot be thought of. All the thoughts come and go in consciousness. Consciousness cannot be made a concept. You cannot conceptualize it. You cannot intellectualize it. You can only be it. The state of being. It is not a state of thinking. So what is meditating upon this reality? Meditating upon this reality is not an action, because any meditation is an action. Here it is an actionless state of being. Achintya Rupam. It is Anoraniyamsam, subtler than the subtlest. And then Kavim. Kavim means omniscient, sarvajna, because everything is existing in this consciousness knows everything, and therefore Anushasitaram, the ruler, the one which commands, the one which disciplines, the one which ordains, Anushasitaram. So all these terms in detail we had discussed yesterday. And then the last term, Puranam. This term was left yesterday. Puranam. What is Puranam? Puranam means ancient. But how ancient? So we say from beginningless past. This consciousness, what is the date of birth of this consciousness? Then we say it is Anadi. This Anadi, another term is Puranam. Anadi means what? Beginningless. But in fact, even this term is only degrading consciousness. Why? Because when we say Anadi, somewhere we are giving reality to time as though it is an independent entity. The fact is, time is not an independent entity, it is a part of creation. So if it is a part of creation, when the creation goes into pralaya, can the time remain? No. Only when the creation comes, the time can come. So therefore the question, when did this creation begin? This question itself is wrong. Why the question is wrong? Because when you say that this creation began at some point of time, what does it mean? Even before the creation, time was there. There is a logical fallacy. So we say time is not an independent entity, space is not an independent entity, it is a part of creation, it is a product of creation. So therefore when we say this consciousness is Anadi, actually it is wrong. Because only when the creation comes into existence, the time and space come into existence. Time actually has no independent existence. Our own experience prove it. In deep sleep, do you experience time? No. So what does it mean? It is a product of time. It is a product of mind. Only when the mind exists, time exists. So therefore, time has no independent existence. It depends on the mind. And mind depends on creation. And creation depends on consciousness. So just imagine, how can time dictate terms to consciousness? It is only from a relative standpoint for us to understand a little bit intellectually, we use the term Anadi. Otherwise, this term is wrong. From the absolute standpoint, if you say consciousness is beginningless, it is wrong. If you say consciousness is infinite, it is wrong. Why? Even the space is a product of creation. So when we say consciousness is all-pervading, it is just to glorify this consciousness. Otherwise, from the absolute standpoint, these terms are not actually right. Anyway, the discussion is only this. This Supreme Lord is none other than the consciousness in us. And this is what we are supposed to meditate upon all the time. And now we are talking of a seeker who has done this while living. What happens to him at the time of death? What is he supposed to do at the time of death? The next verse number 10. Prayana kale manasachalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva Bhruvor madhye pranamaveshya samyak satam param purushamupaiti divyam prayanakale manasachalena bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva Bhruvor madhye pranamavishya samyak satam param purushamupaiti divyam. So now prayanakale. Prayanakale means what? At the time of departure. Departure from where? Departure from this world, from this body. At the time of death. What are we supposed to do? Manasa achalena. Achalena manasa. What kind of mind? The mind which is unwavering. Now this devotee, this sadhaka has no problem to make the mind unwavering, because what has he practiced? Refer to verse number 8. Chetasa na anyagamina. So throughout his life, what has he practiced? Anyagamina chetasa. A mind which is not going anywhere. So therefore, since he has done this practice before, so therefore, achalena manasa is not a problem for him. So what kind of mind he will have? He will have a single pointed, unwavering mind. How did he gain it? See the next term, yoga balena. Bhaktya yukto yoga balena. He has a bala. Bala means strength. What kind of strength he has? Yoga bala. Which is this yoga being spoken of? Again, refer verse number 8. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. So what is this yoga bala? Abhyasa yoga bala. When we constantly practice something, we gain a strength. What strength is it? Abhyasa yoga bala. So this yoga bala is being spoken of here. Constantly when you train the mind to concentrate, for a long period of time when you train the mind to concentrate, that mind becomes concentrated, single pointed. That effortless single pointedness of the mind is gained through constant practice. This practice is called abhyasa, and the strength which you gain through this practice is called abhyasa yoga bala. So whenever you have strength, everything becomes easy. So this person has gained that strength. What are the strength he has gained? The strength to concentrate the mind, the strength to focus the mind, the strength to withdraw the mind from the world, the strength to love God. See the term, bhaktya yuktaha. What kind of mind is he having? A mind which is filled with devotion, a mind which is filled with dispassion, a mind which is filled with humility, a mind which is filled with surrender, a mind which is filled with trust and faith, a mind which is filled with clarity regarding the ultimate truth. So all these things he has gained by what? Yoga balena. By constant practice. Throughout his life he has been practicing. How to practice? Yato nischarati manaschanchalam asthiram tatastato niyamyetat atmanyeva vasham nayet. Whenever, wherever the mind goes out, you have to withdraw the mind and place it in the self. This practice he has been doing for a long time, and because of this constant practice, he has gained the knack of dealing with the mind. Now his mind is absolutely disciplined and tamed. Such a seeker we are talking of here. There's a price he has paid for gaining all these things. So prayana kale, at the time, such a mind, it doesn't wander here or there, because it has been trained to concentrate. It has been trained to focus. And such a healthy mind, rich with all noble virtues, such a divine mind, this devotee is possessing. And then what does he do? Bhruvor madhye pranam aveshya samyak. Samyak, very well, effortlessly, what is he able to do? Pranam, the prana, he is able to fix it at bhruvor madhye, at the center of the eyebrow. He fixes it there, and then satam param purusham upeti divyam. He attains that supreme being. Fixing his attention, his prana, upon the center of the eyebrow, with a heart filled with devotion for the Lord, with the mind fixed upon the Lord. Understand, what is this Lord? Which has been earlier mentioned, the very consciousness. So, in short, abiding in consciousness, he leaves the body, merging with the Supreme. Bhagwan, will you please elaborate a little? This fixing the prana at the eyebrow and all. Bhagwan, I am little scared. Will you please elaborate a little? Now, Bhagavad-Gita is a text where you will find the commentary of Bhagavad-Gita is Bhagavad-Gita itself. Bhagwan mentions something and then he elaborates on that thing later. So, Bhagwan, I would need little more elaboration. Arjuna, definitely I will give you. Listen. Verse number 11. Yadaksharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yatayo Vītarāga yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe yadaksharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yatayo Vītarāga yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Arjuna, you must know this. Any amount of elaboration I am ready to give you. This is a very, very, very important thing you must know. Bhagwan, why is it so important? Yadaksharam vedavido vadanti. That which is glorified by all Vedas. And therefore Vedavidaha, the knowers of the Veda, speak about Yat Aksharam, that Aksharam, that imperishable truth which shines as consciousness in us. The whole of the Vedas are in full praise for this truth. And therefore the knowers of the truth, they speak only about this truth. This you must know. And then Vishanti yad yatayaha Vītarāgaha. Yatayaha, the great renunciates who are Vītarāgaha, free from all kinds of passions and attachments. These great renunciates, they enter into that state. They experience that state. So therefore, Arjuna, this state is not only the most glorious one, it is something which can be experienced also. It is the greatest one and something which is experiential. Something which we can experience. Yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti. And the seekers, desiring this, they constantly, they practice brahmacharya. They control all their sense organs. They stop indulging in all worldly pleasures for the sake of this great truth. That ultimate truth, tat padam sangrahena te pravakshe, that highest reality, in brief, sangrahena, I will tell you. This you must know. So therefore, it's a very important thing. So therefore, I will definitely tell you. So here, there are some of the points which we have to discuss. So what is being said? Who is the qualified person to experience this? So what is said here is Vishanti yatayah Vītarāgaha. Who are those people, those chosen ones who experience this? So the term used is yatayah. Yatayah means what? That is plural, yati. Now who is a yati? Yati means a sannyasi. Yati means sannyasi. Only sannyasis experience this. Now we may wonder, what is this? Now in the very same line, definition of a sannyasi is also given. Who is a sannyasi according to Bhagavad-Gita? Vītarāgaha yatayah. This is a point to be marked. There are a lot of confusion in the society regarding who is a sannyasi. So who is a sannyasi? Just by wearing an ochre color cloth, will you become a sannyasi? As far as Bhagavad-Gita is concerned, real sannyasa is not external, real sannyasa is internal. And what is the qualification to become a sannyasi? See the definition here. Yatayah Vītarāgaha. Who is a sannyasi? Sannyasi is defined as the one who is free from all attachments, who is free from all passions, who is free from all worldly desires. Such a person is defined as a sannyasi. So is sannyasa an internal thing or an external thing? It is something internal. This clarity has to be given. Not only here, everywhere Bhagwan makes it clear who is a sannyasi. Chapter number 5, Bhagwan says, Nyayasya nitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kangshati nirdvando hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Nyayasya nitya sannyasi, know him to be the true sannyasi. Who is he? Yona dveshti na kangshati. He doesn't hate, he doesn't crave for anything. So the one word used in that verse is nirdvandvaha. So what is the definition of sannyasi according to Bhagavad-Gita? Nirdvandvaha. Nirdvandva means what? Constantly dvandva come to us. We have no choice. Sukha, dukkha, mana, apamana, labha, nashta. Joy, sorrow, heat, cold, honor, dishonor, praise, criticism. Nobody can stop it. Who is a sannyasi? Sannyasi is the one who is unaffected by the ups and downs of life. This is how a sannyasi is defined. So how can we remain unaffected by the ups and downs of life? As long as you are depending on the world for happiness, you will be tossed up and down by the happenings of the world. This is the law. The question is, what is the source of your happiness in your life? Is the source of happiness the world and the worldly happening? Then definitely the happenings of the world will have an effect upon your mind. When conducive things happen, you will be excited, you will be tossed up. When unconducive environment you are exposed to, then you will be depressed, you will go down. This up and down we experience at the mind level is because of the importance that we give to the worldly happening. To the extent the world is the source of happiness, to that extent the worldly happenings will decide our happiness. This is the law. So such a person who depends on the world for his happiness is called samsari. Samsari is not a person who has wife, children, family, etc. No. According to Bhagavad-Gita, no. A strict no. Samsari is the person who is depending on samsara for happiness. And therefore, he is tossed up and down by the samsaric happenings. Such a person is called a samsari. So who is a sannyasi? Not the one who has renounced the world, but the one who has renounced the attachment to the world. This has to be very clearly understood. Sannyasa means samyak nyasaha, very well renouncing. That is the word meaning. Samyak nyasaha, the one who has renounced very well. What has he renounced? He has not renounced the world, he has renounced the attachment to the world. So it is very much possible that a person is remaining with his family. He has all relationship, he has all worldly responsibilities. At the same time, according to the definition of Bhagavad-Gita, he can be a sannyasi. Like Raja Janaka, the example given in the 3rd chapter. He is considered to be the enlightened one, a perfect sannyasi, though he was in the world, in the midst of the world. The reverse is also true. A person may be an outer sannyasi, but he may be an inner samsari. How? Suppose he is attached to his matha and monastery, etc. Suppose he is attached to his disciples, etc. ashram, etc. And he is constantly worrying, lot of anxiety as to how he will run his ashram. If this kind of swamis you see, know for sure he is a mere outer sannyasi, not the sannyasi defined according to the scriptural standards. So what is Bhagavad-Gita's constant request, instruction? Be an inner sannyasi. As far as the outer sannyasa is concerned, your prarabdha will determine. We have no choice. According to prarabdha, some are born as in such an environment where he can take sannyas. Some others are born in an environment where he has a lot of family responsibilities. He may not be able to take sannyas. What does Bhagavad-Gita say? External sannyasa is not the important thing. The most important thing is internal sannyasi. To become an internal sannyasi. Gandhiji, he is called Mahatma Gandhi. How did the term Mahatma come? That Mahatma is because he was an internal sannyasi. He was able to face that British Empire because of his spiritual strength. He fought through his spiritual strength. So who is a sannyasi? The sannyasi is the one who is seeking happiness from God, not from the world. So this is how sannyasa has to be defined. What is the source of your happiness? Is your source of happiness God? Then definitely you are a sannyasi. If your source of happiness is world, then you are definitely a samsari. So let us try to be a sannyasi in the true definition of the term. How do I know to what extent I am a sannyasi? See how much you remain unaffected by the happenings of the world. Remember the FIR test. What is FIR test? Frequency, intensity and recovery time. FIR. How frequently you are disturbed, to that extent you are a samsari. I, what is I? Intensity. How intensely you are disturbed by the worldly happenings, to that extent you are a samsari. R, what is R? Recovery time. After getting disturbed, how much time do you take to come back to your normal state? The greater the delay, the greater the samsari you are. Every one of us, we get disturbed now and then by the happenings, but the question is how quickly you come back to your normal state, to your equipoise, how quickly come back to your balance. So to the extent you are a sannyasi, the FIR will be high or low? FIR will be low. So what is the proof that you are progressing in spirituality? FIR becomes low. How frequently you get disturbed, it will be low. How intensely you get disturbed, it will be low. How quickly you recover, that recovery time will be small. This way we have to understand. Right. So in the 5th chapter, a sannyasi is defined as nirdvandva. Again in 6th chapter, Bhagwan again defines as sannyasi. Yada hi nendriyartheshu karmasu anushajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudha tada uchyate. So there again a sannyasi is defined. Who is a sannyasi? Sarva sankalpa sannyasi. Who is a sannyasi? The one who has given up what? Sankalpas. What do you mean sankalpa? So here in this context, sankalpa means all the thought process that happens in the mind trying to seek happiness from the world. This thought process in the mind is called sankalpa. If I do this, then I will get this, then I will be happy. Constantly the mind is chattering, planning, conceiving, thinking, evaluating, wool gathering, all these thought process constantly directed towards the world to make something happen in the outer world so that I can derive peace, relief, etc. from the outer world. All this thought process that is happening in the mind is called sankalpa. So who is a sannyasi? Sarva sankalpa sannyasi. Means what? He doesn't worry. A mind free from worries and anxieties is the mind of a sannyasi. How is he able to handle the worries? He knows Lord will take care of me. Full stop. And the moment he knows that, all the worries are over. Remember, he also plans, but he doesn't worry. What is the difference between planning and worrying? Both appear to be very similar. It is possible that you think you are planning, but actually you are worrying. How do you know whether you are planning or worrying? The test is very simple. If you can stop your thoughts at your will, you are planning. If you are not able to stop your thoughts, you are worrying. Simple. The question is, who is in control? Are you in control of your thoughts, or thoughts are controlling you? A worrying person is a weak person. He is controlled by his mind. A planning person is a strong person. He controls the mind. So whenever you have this doubt whether you are worrying or planning, what you have to do? Try to stop your thoughts. Enough. For the next 10 minutes I am not going to think. Can you stop it? Otherwise what happens? You justify your worrying as planning. A sannyasi also plans, but he doesn't worry. So what kind of mind he will have? He will have a peaceful mind. Sarva sankalpa sannyasi, a beautiful definition for a sannyasi. So this way there are various definitions of sannyas. So this has to be clearly understood. What is sannyas? Total dependence on God for peace, for everything, for material prosperity, for spiritual evolution. When you totally depend on God, then such a person is called a sannyasi. And what are the consequences of depending on God and not on the world? Such a person will have a very quiet, peaceful mind. Such a person will not be affected by the ups and downs of the world. These are all the signs of true sannyas. Coming back, now what is being said here? Vishanti yat yatayaha Vītarāgaha. So who are the ones who will really reach there? Who will attain the truth? Who will be able to meditate on God at the time of death? These are the people. They don't have to wait till death to experience that. Even while living, they live as Jīvanmuktas. What do you mean Jīvanmukta? The people who are liberated while living. So they don't have to wait for death to merge there. At the time of death, they become Videhamuktas. So what is the difference between Jīvanmuktas and Videhamuktas? The liberated ones with the body is called Jīvanmuktas, liberated while living. And when they leave the body, they are called as Videhamuktas. They have dropped the body. Does it make any difference to them? As far as they are concerned, it doesn't make any difference, because they are identified not with the body, they are identified with consciousness. So consciousness is there even when the body is there. Consciousness is there even when the body is not there. Since their identification is with consciousness, it really doesn't make any difference to them whether the body is there or not there. But for the onlookers, they have given a definition. The Mahatma with the body is called Jīvanmukta. The Mahatma, when he drops the body, when he attains Samadhi, he is called as Videhamukta. It is from the standpoint of onlookers, not from the standpoint of the Mahatma. So, Arjuna, this is a state which is glorified by the Vedas and the knowers of the Vedas. And this is a state which can be achieved, can be attained even by living. This is something which everyone can attain. It is something which is possible. It is a state of perfection which everyone can attain. It is the birthright of everyone. And in order to attain it, what do the seekers do? Yadichanto Brahmacharyam charanti. The seekers, what do they practice? They practice Brahmacharya. Now, what do you mean Brahmacharya? The common meaning of Brahmacharya is abstaining from sex. And that is true. That is only one part of the meaning. When we say Brahmacharya, what we mean is disciplining all the sense organs in such a way that the energy is not leaked out. Every such practice has to be called as Brahmacharya only. Actually, the person who is walking this path is called a Brahmachari. What do you mean Brahmachari? Chari means the one who walks the path. What is this path? The path leading to Brahman. So Brahmachari. Brahma also means Vedas. So the path shown by the Vedas leading to Brahman, this path, the one who walks, such a person is called a Brahmachari. And the practice is called Brahmacharya. So what does this person do? Remember, the goal is very high. We are here to attain the Lord. So therefore you have to conserve all your energies. You cannot afford to leak it through sense indulgences. You have to conserve it. So therefore they practice Brahmacharya. Merely abstaining from sex alone is not practice of Brahmacharya. If you are talking too much, that is that is against Brahmacharya, because you are wasting energy. If you are eating too much, that is against Brahmacharya. If you are unnecessarily worrying, that is also against Brahmacharya. Why? In all these cases, the energy is leaked out. And to the extent your energy is leaked out, you don't have energy to reach there. Isn't it? It is like you are traveling in a car with the petrol tank having so many holes. Then what will happen? You will not reach the destination, isn't it? So therefore you must conserve your energy. These are the three important things which a sadhaka must always keep in mind. Number one, conservation. Number two, direction. Number three, application. These three things should be clear. Number one, the energy should be conserved. Unless you have energy, you can't go anywhere. Number two, you should know where to apply this energy. So direction should be clear. Unto where you are going to apply this energy, direction, goal should be clear. That is direction. The third one, application. Apply the conserved energy in the direction of the goal. These are the three things to be done. In any field, not just spirituality. In any field, this is what you have to do. So, yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti, those seekers, they discipline themselves. They control their sense organs. The world is full of attractions and distractions. The world is full of such attractions that there is all the possibility that we may leak out our energy through the senses into the sense objects. There is all the possibility. Now what is this person doing? He is conserving his energy from all directions. And thus he is directing his energy towards that goal. Such a sincere seeker in the future become the Yati, which is mentioned earlier. The very same Brahmachari becomes a Yati. Yati is the one who has attained. Brahmachari is the one who is striving to attain it. So everyone has to pass through these three stages. Yadaksharam Vedavido Vadanti means what? The first stage is knowing. Knowing through the scriptures. The second stage is doing. Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti. Seeker stage. And the third stage is being. What is that? Vishanti Yat Yatayo Vītarāga. Three stages are there. What are the three stages? Knowing, doing, and then being. So this verse is glorifying that state. Arjuna, there is a highest state. This is the highest state and it is achievable. How to achieve it? I will tell you. How? Sangrahena, briefly. You are such an intelligent seeker, I don't need to elaborate. You are such a fit student for this knowledge, I don't have to elaborate. In a brief way, I will tell you. Bhagwan, please tell me. The next two verses, Bhagwan describes how a yogi leaves the body in detail. Let us chant verse number 12, 13. Sarvadvarani sanyamya manohridi nirudhya Murdhyadhayatmanah pranam Asthito yoga dharanam Omityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan mamanusmaran Yaf prayati tyajan deham Sayati paramam gatim Sarvadvarani sanyamya Manohridi nirudhya cha Murdhyadhayatmanah pranam Asthito yoga dharanam Omityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan mamanusmaran Yaf prayati tyajan deham Sayati paramam gatim. Yes. So here is a seeker who is just going to drop the body. And what is he doing? Just before death, physical death. What he is supposed to do? How an ideal seeker should drop the body dead. Sarvadvarani sanyamya. Now these two verses are very scary verse. First I will scare you. Create fear in you. Then let me see how to remove that fear. Sarvadvarani sanyamya. Here is a person who is lying on the deathbed. What does he do? Sarvadvarani. Dwara means what? Holes. He blocks all the holes. So here dwara means indriyas. He blocks all the indriyas. Indriyas mean jnanendriyas. Meaning he cuts himself off from the outer world. Mano hridi nirudhya cha. Then what does he do? He fixes his mind upon his heart. Mano Hridi, in the heart. Niruddhya, fixing it, arresting it. He arrests his mind in the heart. Murdhni adhaya atmanah pranam. And then he takes his prana and fixes it murdhni. Murdhni means head, but here it means the center of the eyebrow. He takes the prana and fixes it at the center of his eyebrow. Asthitaha yoga dharanam. In this way, he is there steadily established in yoga. Then what does he do? Om iti eka aksharam brahma vyaharan. He chants that eka akshara brahma, the one lettered symbol for Brahman. What is that one letter? Om. He chants it. Vyaharan. Mam anusmaran. As he chants, he remembers me. In this way, Yahav Prayati, the one who leaves, Tyajan Deham, giving up the body, Sayati Paramam Gatim. Such a person reaches the ultimate state. This is what you have to do at the time of death. What all things has to be done? All the indriyas, block all the holes. Sarvadvarani sanyamya. Then fix the mind unto the heart. Then fix the prana. Where? At the center of the eyebrow. Raise the pranas and then fix it here. Arrest it there. And then what you have to do? Om. You must chant. At the same time, remembering Mam Anusmaran, remembering Bhagwan. And this way, you must drop the body. These two verses are the most scary verses in Bhagavad-Gita. Anyone who will read these verses will say, I think this is not my cup of tea. Bhagwan, till now I could understand what all you said. This is too much. I think, Bhagwan, I should get up and go. Enough of Bhagavad-Gita class. Right? Scary verses. Bhagwan, I think it is impossible. Maybe Arjuna also, he was with mouth agape, opening his mouth, he was just looking. What is Bhagwan saying? Bhagwan saw the confusion, the fear in the face of Arjuna. And then comes the next verse. So after chanting the next verse, we will take up this. See the next verse. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabhav partha nityayuktasya yoginaha ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabhav partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. So seeing that fear and confusion and discouragement, probably that's what he saw on the face of Arjuna. When he heard the description of how to die, so suddenly comes this verse. And what does this verse say? Arjuna, it is sulabha. It's very easy. Don't worry. Tasyaham sulabhav partha. Oh Partha. Oh dear son of Pritha, Kunti. It is very easy. You don't have to do all complicated things. No. You just pay attention to this. What? Ananyachetaha satatam yomam smarati nityashaha. The one who nityashaha every day remembers me. Nityashaha smarati satatam smarati. All the time remembers me. Ananyachetaha smarati. Single-pointed mind, those who remember me, tasya aham sulabha. For them it is easy. So therefore, where is the focus? Is the focus on taking the prana and fixing it on the head, or is the focus on bhakti? This has to be clearly understood. What does Bhagwan give importance to? Not all those yogic practices where you take your prana from one chakra to another. Fine, those who can do, please go ahead. And finally, fixing the prana on the center of the eyebrow. There are yogis who can do it very well. Go ahead. But what does Bhagwan give importance to? Not to all these things. Bhagwan says, Arjuna, do just this. What? The very same teaching which has been given earlier. Now all these things are not something new. Ananya Cheta, it has already come. Chetasa Nanyagamina, it has already come. So with a mind which is single-pointed, with a mind which is seeking me alone, with a mind full of devotion for me, this way if you remember me, tasyaham sulabhaha, for them it is easy. Bhagwan, then why did you mention all the other terms? Just to scare me? No. So this also we have to understand. What we have to understand is, now let us see these verses. Sarvadvarani sanyamya. For a devotee, this happens or not? It automatically happens. A devotee who is loving God, where is his attention? Upon God. His attention is not in the outer world. So naturally, all the sense organs get blocked automatically. Sarvadvarani sanyamya. What is the next one? Mano hridi nirudhyacha. Mind fixed in hridi, heart. Now what is heart? Whenever in spirituality this term heart is mentioned, don't misunderstand it to be this pumping heart. Fixing the mind in this heart. So you mean to say you have to count your heartbeat? No. There are two meanings for heart. Number one, whenever we say heart in spirituality, it means the very core of your being, the very center of your being. And normally English also we use that. The heart of the problem is this. So when we use that term, heart of the problem, what do you mean? The core issue, isn't it? This is, so that essence, that core, the center. So whenever we say heart, this is what you have to understand. So what is our heart? What is where we experience the very center of our being? It is nothing but consciousness. Consciousness is the very core of our being. So mano hridi nirudhya means what? Shifting the attention to consciousness. That's all. With mind, you pay attention. What are you paying attention to? You are paying attention to the consciousness in you. This is meaning number one. If you take heart as the very center of your being, this is what it means. Meaning number two, there are some places where we say, you must listen to your heart. Have you heard of such statement? Now in that sense, what is the meaning of heart? Heart means mind plus intellect. Whenever we say, you listen to your heart, what it means is mind plus intellect. What do you mean mind plus intellect? That which you love and that which you value is what you should do. That which you love and that which you value is what you are supposed to do. This is the meaning heart. Listen to your heart. True. So fixing your mind in the heart means what? In this process of meditation, your heart and soul is involved. Meaning your entire personality is involved in this meditation. Mind is loving Bhagwan, intellect is valuing Bhagwan. This is the meaning Mano Hridi Nirudhya. For a devotee, this is automatic. It happens or not? It happens. It is not fixing your attention upon your beating heart. No. We are not interested in any of the physiological functions of the body. No. Spirituality has nothing to do with that. Murdhni adhaya atmanaf pranam. What does it mean? Fixing the prana upon the center of your eyebrow. Now this is something which will automatically happen. You don't have to put forth any effort. Those people who regularly meditate, when your mind is very quiet, where do the eyeballs roll up? Have you seen? The eyeballs, when your mind is very quiet, where do the eyeballs go? The eyeballs, they roll up and then get fixed here. Those who meditate regularly, even little bit of meditation is enough. You will experience this. Your concentration will be here. Automatically. You don't put forth effort there. You will always find that whenever the mind is disturbed, the eyeballs are also disturbed. Have you observed? The eyeballs wander when the mind wanders. That's how you know when a person is dreaming in sleep. How do you know that person is dreaming? Look at the eyeballs. If it is running around, that means he is seeing something. A disturbed mind will have a disturbed eyeball motion, whereas a peaceful mind, a concentrated mind, will have the eyeballs stationary, fixed. Where does it go? Normally it goes here at the center of the eyebrow and it stops there. It is something which happens. You don't have to do anything. When there is bhakti, automatically these things happen. These are the bodily functions which will happen. You don't have to pay any attention to these things. It is exactly like when you run, what all things happen? When you run, your heartbeat becomes fast. Yes or no? Do you do it or it happens? It happens. When you run, your breathing becomes fast. Do you do it or it happens? It happens. When you run fast, you start sweating. Do you do it or it happens? It happens. In the same way, these are the things which will happen in the body of a yogi. You don't have to be an advanced yogi to experience this. Even a little bit of sadhana you do, you will experience all this. Right? When the mind is silent, when you are fixed your attention upon consciousness, you will find that the eyeballs automatically go and rest here. It goes automatically. But where is your attention? Your attention is not upon the eyeballs. Your attention is upon God. And these things happen. Murdhni adhaya atmanaf pranam astito yogadharanam. Yogadharanam means what? Yoga means to unite. With whom is he united now? He is united with Bhagwan. So whenever the Jivatma unites with Paramatma, then that is called as yoga. Yoga is not doing so many yogasanas, etc. Neither is it the steady posture of the body. No, yoga is not complete as long as you are not united with the Lord. And being united with the Lord is not a physical thing. It is something to do with your core of your personality. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Those stages we are talking of now. We are not talking of some pranayama state or asana state. The mind is withdrawn and that mind entire attention is upon Bhagavan. There is bhakti there, and because of which he is experiencing Bhagavan as his very consciousness in him. That state is called yoga dharanam. That state is called yoga. And then Om iti eka aksharam Brahma vyaharan. Chanting Om. Now this chanting is done only to take a support. Whenever the mind wanders, you need an external support for the mind to hold on. Whenever the mind wanders, you need a support. So this support at the speech level is what is called as japa. So what is chanted here? Om. It is not necessary that you should chant only Om. You can chant your Ishta Devata's name. Not necessary Om. In those times, Om was the normal thing chanted because that was there in the Vedas. So many avatars have come. So therefore, now we have so many names for japa. So any name is fine. The purpose of doing japa is to have an alambanam, a support for the mind to hold on. So whenever the mind is wandering, do japa, hold on to this mind, listen to the name and then come back. It is a springboard to dive into yourself. Right? If your mind is concentrated, then the very same japa will be a distracting one. To the extent you are merged into your inner self, to that extent you will find that outer chanting will slowly come down. And finally, there is only silence. Because even chanting becomes a disturbance when you are united with that Supreme Lord. Even chanting is a disturbance. So how long should you chant? So long as you are distracted, so long as you need a support, you chant. So therefore, Om iti ekaksharam brahma vyaharan. But what is the purpose of vyaharan? Mam anusmaran, to remember me. Chanting is done to remember me. Chanting is done to remind the mind that I am not interested in the world, I am interested in God. Chanting is done to replace the worldly thought with the spiritual thought. Worldly thought has to be replaced with the spiritual thought, and finally the spiritual thought should die down automatically when you become one with the spirit, one with the self. The spiritual thought also ends. Spiritual thought takes you to the self and disappears itself. Spiritual thought destroys the worldly thought, and spiritual thought takes you to consciousness and then destroys by itself. The mind becomes absolutely peaceful, abiding in consciousness. To abide in consciousness, do you need japa? Not necessary. It is your nature. To reach to consciousness, you may take any support, but once you have reached it, you have to just drop these supports. Exactly like the pole vaulter. He uses the pole, climbs the pole, and finally what does he do? Drops the pole. This pole is nothing but the mind. Take the support of the mind. Keep climbing the mind, and once the mind has become totally sattvic, drop the mind also. And then you go into the beyond. Yaf prayati tyajan deham sa yati paramam gatim. So this way the body has to be dropped. Become one with consciousness, and whether the body is there or not, it doesn't really matter for you. For an adept yogi, this is not difficult. And who is an adept yogi? The one who has constantly practiced this meditation. So it is something which he has attained even while living. So at the time of death, it is not at all difficult for him. To do all this, what is the one thing to be done? Developing devotion for God. Now don't forget that. That is the most important thing. Remembering God, cultivating that kind of samskara of remembrance of God, this is the most important thing. Rest, everything will just follow. Like how the engine moves and all the bogies follow, in the same way all these things will just follow. Withdrawal of the senses will follow. Fixing your attention upon the heart will follow. The attention upon the eyebrow will follow. Those things are not the important ones. What is the most important thing? Mam anusmaran. That's the most important thing. Don't put the cart before the horse, as they say. You are very much interested in where the heart is and where you have to focus and all, and Bhagwan is forgotten. Don't do that. So that is why immediately Bhagwan uses 14th verse. Arjuna, I am very easy. Do this. Rest everything will happen. Don't get distracted. So many people are more worried about Kundalini, Chakra and their positions, etc. And their mind is not in God. They are more interested in experiencing different chakras at different levels. What about bhakti? No importance is given to bhakti. What does Bhagwan say? Arjuna, the most important thing is bhakti. Love God. Then rest everything will fall in place. Ananya Cheta is a very famous verse, 14th verse. Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha. See the terms. One is Nityashaha, the other is Satatam. Constantly you must remember, every day you must remember. Only then that samskara will be formed. And you must remember Bhagavan with a single pointed mind. Single pointed mind means what? God is the highest priority of my life. This is the meaning. Ananya Cheta means your love is not divided between God and world. In Bible, very nicely it is said, I am a jealous God. God himself is saying, I am a jealous God. I become jealous when the Jivatmas, when my children, they are loving world more than me. I become jealous. So nicely it is said. Bhagavan expects single pointed love unto him. Because that's the way he is loving us. See, his love for us is infinite and single pointed. In the same way, he expects the same love from us. Suppose you are loving the world, then what will happen? You will not reach God, you will reach world. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to give a beautiful example. He says that the eye of the needle, and you are trying to put that thread into that eye. But if suppose that one strand of that thread is poking out, then will it go inside? No. Very nice example. In the same way, even if a little bit of desire regarding the world is there, you will not reach there. You will come back to fulfill that desire. Bhagavan, why should I reach you? Arjuna, you must reach me because, see the next verse. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gataha mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gata. Arjuna, if you reach me, this punarjanma is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Coming back to this world is nothing but sorrow. Because everything in this world is impermanent, ashashvatam. An impermanent world can never give you permanent happiness. But suppose you reach me, napnuvanti mahatmanah, the Mahatmas who have reached me, there is no comeback. Because they have attained the supreme perfection. Therefore, Arjuna, seek me alone. Don't seek the world. Again and again, again and again, again and again, Bhagwan is telling this thing only. More of it we will see tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kasyat Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.